All right, good morning, friends. I'm making something a little different today. I'm making a line of key fobs. Applique, this one is an applique key fob done in the 6x10 hoop. This particular design is, as you can see, this is step number 1, which of course I always do the first step when I come on camera, and this is just an outline of it, and it is exactly 1 inch by 10, maybe a hair over 10, well, big enough to fit. It still fits in the 6x10 hoop, and you would want to do these in vinyl for the main part that you put down. Now, of course, the applique, that's where you get to be creative and put some pretty material, some pretty fabric there. But for the base of the, and for longevity of use, you would want to use vinyl. And I'm using just promo vinyl, which is kind of thin. It's thinner than marine vinyl, but you need 2 pieces of the vinyl, and I have cut my vinyl. This is 10 inches long, so I've cut it 12 inches. You could get away with less, of course, but I'd rather have more than less. And I've cut it 1.5 inches wide. So you've just got to be careful when you're placing it that you're covering the stitches here. And so I'm going to now take, well, let me grab my tape. So I'm going to take and use my piece of 12-inch long vinyl and cover. Oh, it fits exactly in the hoop. Okay, I'm going to cover this and tape it down here at the very top and the very bottom out of the stitch path. And I have some key fobs, and I'm going to put a link to the key fobs that I buy on Amazon, and they come in either 1 inch or 1.25 inches, I recall. I have just the 1 inch type. These, since this is exactly 1 inch in width, they're a little small. The 1 inch key fob is a little small because the design itself is 1 inch, and then you have to leave a little tiny bit of room on the sides, so it's probably better to use the 1.25 inch key fob. But I think it looks okay. I'm not bothered by it. You may not be either, or you may. It's what I had on hand, so it's what I used. So I'm going to go, and then the next step we'll tack this down, and that's what I'll do, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and you can see that I have done the tack down of the piece here. And the next thing you'll do is you'll take your 1.5 inch by 11, 12 inch, whatever you cut it, piece of fabric that you're going to use, and I just put it right over it, and I'm going to tape it down also so it doesn't make a mess. Okay, I'm going to take this back to the embroidery machine, and it's going to sew it down, and it's going to sew it a little inside of the basically a long rectangle that is this design. So it'll be slightly inside of that, and I'll be back in a moment. All right, I'm back, and I'm going to take and cut this. Well, I almost cut the vinyl, so I'm going to cut right up against the stitches here. Right across. Okay, down the other side. Alrighty. Okay. There we go with that. And with that go in the trash. So you can see now, you can see that it's slightly smaller than the exterior stitching. So what we're going to do now is take and turn the hoop over. And let me reach behind me and take my other piece of vinyl and just cover basically what we've already got. And now take it back to the machine, and there are 2 steps left. The next step is going to do the beautiful rope, which basically takes the place of what most other folks use as the basic satin stitch, but this will take the place of the satin stitch, and it'll cover all these raw ends up, and then it will do which it will stop, and we're about to do number 4 step. That's the rope itself. Number 5 is where you could stop and change colors if you wanted. I'm using gold, but you could accent it with some purple. And the last step, number 5, it basically goes around each link of the rope chain, and so you could accent it with a different color if you wanted to. At that point, you'd need to change colors after we run this step number 4. So before 5, you would change colors. But let me run, I'm not decided whether I want to do that or not. Let me run this next step, which will tack all this down, cover all this, the fraying edge. So I'll be back in a bit. And let me just forewarn you, this is 11 or 12,000 stitches to do the beautiful rope. So beauty takes time. So I'll be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. That took probably 10 or 15 minutes because this is a lot of stitching, but it's beautiful. And I think I'm going to, okay, you can see the back. What I did, I actually forgot and placed the back on to run step 4. I really didn't need to do that until step 5, but it's no harm. There's no problem. It's fine to do that, but I could have waited one more step to place this back piece on. It just wouldn't have had all this extra stitching, but actually I think it's probably better to do that to give it a little more something to grab on the front. So I'm going to take it back to the machine, and I'm sorry, it's 3:30 in the morning, and I don't sleep anymore, and so I'm just up working. I'm going to take and change the color of the thread to this purple, and it gives a Mardi Gras type feel to this piece of fabric with this, or this key fob wristlet device. So I'm going to take and change to purple, and the purple will outline each of these steps. And that's why I could have waited to put on this back piece until right now, and then which I did on that first one I made, which is not here where I'd show you, but it does the same thing. This step 5 will do this stitching around each of the rope pieces, and it would in essence marry this back piece onto the front, which is what you want to do eventually. But so you can either put this back piece on for step 4 or put it on before you run step 5, up to you. So anyhow, let me go and run step 5, which will put a pretty little purple accent on this gold chain or rope, whatever you want to call it. So I'll be right back. And let me just show you the difference between putting this back piece on at step 4 or step 5. Here I waited until right before I ran step 5, which is what I'm currently running now in the other room. And you can see how it goes around each rope piece. And so it doesn't, on the back side of the wristlet, there's not as much sewing as as I've done in this current one I'm doing, which has all the back side of the bobbin side of the rope itself. So I don't think it really matters. It accomplishes the same thing. It stitches the two sides together. This is certainly sufficient, but you know, if you do one or the other, it's just up to you. And so anyhow, I just want to make that little remark. The machine is in there sewing, so let me get back to it. Okay, it is finished, and I think that the purple is not real obvious, but it basically finishes off the design, I think. So I think it's worth doing this extra step myself, even if you don't change colors of thread. So the next thing, and if you've ever done these fobs before from other folks and they don't finish the ends, well, I always wondered why. It's like this takes an extra 1 second for the software to put that on there, but and that's kind of why I started learning to digitize myself. It's like, well, if you won't do it, I'll do it myself. So, and you may feel the same way about me, and I invite you to learn something new. And if I can do it at 60 with half a brain, so can you. So anyhow, now what I'm going to do now is take it out of the hoop, and I'm going to trim it with, let me show you what I use this device right here, which I bought at my local sewing store. I've got two sizes of it. One is about 18 inches long, and this is probably 12 or 14, or maybe the other one's 24 inches long. But I'm going to take it to the cutting table, and I'm going to use this to cut where it'll cut nicely straight. I'm going to leave maybe hopefully 1/16 to 1/32 of an inch on each side, and then I'll come back and I will discuss some other things with you. So I'll be right back. Here's a couple tips. Here's your typical key fob, and I'm going to put links to these. I get these on Amazon here in the United States. As I recall, they're 40 for about $12, so they're not inexpensive. So what I do is I take them, I'll get rid of all of these our little pieces we have here in sewing. Take this and stick this in like that. And I have, or had, a device I bought off of Amazon just for the purpose of closing these. It's basically a pliers with a piece of plastic covering the metal so it doesn't damage or scar the metal. If you don't have one of those, and like I say, mine has somehow disappeared, I'll find it someday. Just use a pair of pliers, I suppose, with a wash rag or something over it so it doesn't directly touch the metal to metal. Now you can see the design itself is exactly an inch, but I have to leave a little room on the side without cutting into the stitches, so it's probably inch and a quarter almost. So that's why I was saying it'd probably be best to use with this design the inch and a quarter. This is the inch fob. I'd buy the inch and the quarter. There may be $1 more, but I'm going to, so you would put it on like this, slide it in there, and then take this device. I take this thing off too because it gets in the way when I do this, but take this device and just squeeze it together and it will probably never come apart. However, I always, like I mentioned before, wondered why they didn't, digitizers didn't finish the edges, because my thought is these are expensive. I mean, what, 40 for 12 or $14. So they're, I don't know, for 40, they're 50 cents each probably, roughly 45 cents each, I guess. I've got a bunch of these little, what do they call these? I can't think of what these are called. And it's like, why can't I take and just stick one, make a hole here, stick this in, and use this to close, and then I'll use a key ring to put my keys on, and that'll save you. These are much cheaper. These are the long ones, the longer ones. You have to make sure you get the longer ones. And so that'll save you a good bit of money from this. And you may not even like the look of this bulky thing. I kind of don't myself, so that's why. But before, when I bought this kind of thing from digitizers, they didn't offer the finished ends. And I said, well, I'm going to fix that. So you don't need this anymore. You can use these. So that's just my thought. So I'm going to go off camera for a moment, turn the camera off, and I'm going to show you. I've got a piece here, and I'm going to fold it in two like this, and that will, well, approximate this folding of these two items here together. Though it is a bit thicker because there is a piece of, in here there's a piece of, obviously there's a piece of fabric, and then there's a piece of stabilizer. So this is a little thicker. I'll put a couple pieces of something in here just to check this out. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just do this in thirds. Now we've got probably the thickness there of what this is here. So let me go off camera for a moment to set this up. Okay, my camera was about to die, so it's got a little power. I hope I can get through this before it dies again, or almost dies. This is, I don't know where I was when I left off, but I think I was talking to an alternative of using these key fobs, and I was going to show you this, which, like I say, these are the long ones, and you can get these. I know I got this from a place out in Los Angeles. I can't remember the name, but CamSnaps is a company that I've never bought from, but I know they have specialize in snaps, and I'm sure they have all sorts and sizes of these. I believe these are called 3/16 this size here, and then I have the corresponding little back piece, as you can see, and I don't like it much because, well, if you use it on here, actually you're not going to even feel it, but it's a little rough, just slightly, but it's going to be up in here, so you're not even going to feel it. Okay, so this seems to work out fine with this size. The long snap, the long whatever these are called. I'm sure you'll, God, I don't know. I can't think of it, I'm sorry. But I will try to put a lot of this information in the group, so you can have it and know where to go. So like I said, these are just key fobs from Amazon, but try CamSnaps for these bigger items, or for these longer doodads, for lack of the correct word. And then I have these two items, which are called Crocodile 1 and Crocodile 2. This big one is called the Crocodile 2, and they're good for putting these snaps, I'll call these snaps, on whatever it is. And it's weird because the smaller one I like to use as my, it has both of them have punchers, hole punchers built in, and the actual place that puts the snaps on. So, but I like this smaller one, even though it's, can you see the hole puncher going in there? So I'm going to take and put these together like this, and then I'm going to stick them, if I can get them without ruining. Let me see. Yes, they barely go in there, and you can see on top here where the hole is going to be. So that looks about, let me push it closer to the edge. That looks fine right there. And here we go, and fingers crossed. Okay. Okay, that, pull that away, cut it away. This, that's not directly. Oh, well, that's the problem with this, is that, see, I'm off a good bit. So now, what do I do? Let me stick it back in, and how annoying. Okay, well, it's now large, but I'm gonna go with it. So, where did I put that darn thing? There it is. Okay. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to stick. I don't think it'll go through. It'll be fine. And in fact, it covers it completely. I'll just slide it over. It's not too bad. Not too terribly bad. Not perfect, but not horrible. Okay. So stick this in, and then take this other piece that, you know, with whatever thing you have to put this on with. And I go ahead and put this fits down on this thing right here. I don't know if you could see it. And then I take and put this, I'm gonna get down here and look at this thing. Let me see. Well, is it going in? Okay. It appears to. I don't know. That doesn't feel right. Let's see what happened. Okay. Yes, it did go in. See, it didn't do a very good job on this back side. But hopefully it'll be okay. Darn. So we take and stick the ring on it, which is no easy feat. Well, actually, this is going to be maybe not too bad. Okay. All right. In any event, it's not coming apart with this ring. Whether this piece fails here, the ring is going to hold it together. So I think it's quite beautiful. Had I done a better job with this, it would have been perfect. Hopefully a lot of you folks do this routinely and know how to do this. I'm total amateur, probably used these devices 5 times. So anyhow, that's just what I wanted to show you. Wish I would have done better, but I did the best I could. So that's all I have for this video. I hope you have enjoyed all of my mistakes and blunders, and you won't make them. You'll learn from my mistakes, which I'm full of mistakes. So thank you so much for watching, and if you purchase this key fob, Applique key fob, I hope you make a lot of these to go with your purses, so every purse has a personalized strap. And I thank you so much for watching, and I thank you so much for your encouragement and support. And I'll be back in the next day or two with another design and another. I've actually got a bunch more of these planned with different non-applique, but with my pretty stitching that I do right here in the center. So you'll be seeing that either later today or tomorrow. So I'm going to focus on these for the next 3 or 4 days and give you lots of different options. So thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.